Thrones is off hiatus, and therefore so am I. I am back to do my usual Game of Thrones reviews for season 4 of Game of Thrones. I'm sorry for the hiatus, and I didn't do it on Sunday because Sunday was my birthday, and you know, I'm 22, so I was drinking. But now I have had time to process and rewatch the episode, so now here is my hopefully concise review. There will be no spoilers, but of course opinions about all the things that I love and I'm slightly irritated at with the show. But since they have finally introduced my house, House Martell, holla back, for this episode and every episode in which our Martell is present, I shall be wearing my House Martell shirt. Alright, let's go. So the episode starts off with Tywin Lannister doing the dickhole thing of melting down ice, the ancestral sword of House Stark, because the Lannister family has never had a Targaryen blade, a Valyrian steel blade in the family, so they melt down the sword, and he gives one of the swords to Jaime, and Tywin wants Jaime to finally be the man of the family, and apparently now he's 40 years old. Why, I don't know, but they've aged up everybody in the show, and I guess in the timeline that they've adjusted it to, it makes sense to make him 40, but at the same time it also kind of messes the timeline with other things, but they don't care, we care, so we'll just go with it. So he wants Jaime to finally like be the future Lord of Casterly Rock. That's never been Jaime's prerogative. He's not that kind of guy. He wants to stay in the Kingsguard, and the Kingsguard is for life, and he wants to at least have one vow that is, you know, still there. And as a result, Tywin disowns him and basically sends Jaime off to do his own thing. And I gotta say, like, it's so, like, the Jaime scenes are so hard because, you know, Jaime wants to do the right thing and he wants to be a good person, but it ain't happening, Jaime. Like, they're not gonna let you be good. But anyway, we jump to Tyrion, and he is waiting to greet Prince Doran of Dorne, but he is ill, and as a result his brother, Prince Oberyn, is the one who will be coming to be the official sort of ambassador or emissary for the royal wedding. But he's not with the party. He's at a brothel where we have to have our first sex position scene of the show. Thanks, Game of Thrones. I just, like, it's, this scene, I have a mixed bag for it because it establishes Oberyn in a very sexualized way, and he's a very sexual person, and I think it's great to show bisexuality and to have Oberyn be unabashedly and there's no shame in his sexuality, because we've seen obviously with Loras and Renly's storyline that there is sexual prejudice in Westeros proper, and Dorne isn't really attached to that because Dorne was never properly conquered, because we are unbent, unbroken, so fuck y'all. So it establishes that aspect of it, but there's so much more to Oberyn than just being a sexual person. And of course the other thing is that while, you know, his bisexuality is showcased when he flirts with season 3 Loras' side piece, we don't see no penis, but we get lots of titties because we can always get an ambiance of titties in Game of Thrones. From now on, my whole motto when it comes to these sex position scenes is no penis, no peace, because I am tired of you just being able to show all the titties in the world, and we've seen maybe 3 penises in the entire 3 seasons of Game of Thrones, and 2 of those penises were in the same season. So let's diversify these dicks, because we need to start, you know, showing more nudity, because every male cast member keeps talking about how, like, I'm not afraid to do nudity, I don't mind showing nudity. Yeah, oh yeah, his ass. Oh yeah, ass from everybody. Step your game up, because we even got peen in not Game of Thrones, True Blood. So come on, work it out. So Oberyn is with his paramour, Arya, Sand, who, you know, I love her. That actress, she's amazing. And she's really great in the scene, and they're trying to find another girl and another guy for their little sexual encounter, and then he overhears two Lannister men singing the Reigns of Castamere, which I don't know exactly why you would sing the Reigns of Castamere in a brothel. It's not a very sexual song, you know, it's not very R&B friendly, but I guess they were just kind of like in the mood for that today. And Oberyn, who hates the Lannisters for reasons we find out a few minutes later, goes in, talks about how, oh, y'all ain't shit, you think you shit because you got money, and then he stabs one of them through the wrist. And then Tyrion comes and finds him, and they have a conversation. We find out that the reason why the Martells hate the Lannisters is because Elia, I think is how to pronounce her name, she was married to the last Targaryen heir, the one who ran off with Ned's sister, who was engaged to marry Robert Baratheon, starting Robert's Rebellion. And the Lannisters, to prove their loyalty when it was realized that Robert was going to win, they decided to sack King's Landing, and as a result, Gregor Clegane, the Hound, the older brother of Gregor Clegane the Mountain, older brother of Sandor Clegane the Hound, killed the two children that between Elia and Rhaegar, and also raped Oberyn Martell. And as a result, the Martells and Lannisters have had bad blood since, which has caused more issues because in season 2, I believe it was, Myrcella was sent to Dorne by Tyrion in a way of kind of having a good relationship between them, like making them a war so that Dorne could feel like they had a hand in the game, and also because Dorne hadn't put loyalty to the Lannisters when this whole War of the Kings came out. So this was Tyrion's way of creating kind of an alliance between the two houses. But it also means that no matter what Oberyn does, there's no way they can really do anything to him because Myrcella, you know, is right in the hands of Dorne. And I think the best acting from the actor who played Oberyn came in this scene. So far, like, the sexual part, I don't know, it's the sexual, I think it's also, it may be the actor as well, because he's not doing much for me. I look at Elia in those scenes because she's gorgeous and she's so pretty. But with him, I feel like it's a mixture of the fact that the sex position is always written very poorly, and the fact that I just didn't feel that the sexiness was necessary. I feel like there were other ways to introduce Oberyn and still show his sexuality. I mean, there could have been a great scene of him laying in bed with, like, you know, his multiple lovers and Elia there. Just, like, it doesn't have to be over the top. And I feel like subtlety is always lost on Game of Thrones. There's no way they can ever just have a character come in and not be like, this is my whole plan, this is what I want to do. Obvious, obvious, obvious. And we learned from all the various little finger scenes that we get from the past couple of seasons. So, it was disappointing that they had to go so on the nose with who he was and not just be kind of more subtle about his intentions. But I guess I just want to get it over with because, you know, it's the premiere. They want to set everything up so that we can be excited for stuff that happens later. Then we end up with the Shae, Sansa, and Tyrion scene. And Shae trying to get Sansa to eat. Sansa don't want to eat because her whole family dead and it's depressing and shit. Tyrion comes in, try to help Sansa. Sansa goes to the Godswood because no one wants to bother her there. And then there's this whole conflict between Shae and Tyrion because Shae is jealous of the fact that Sansa and Tyrion are now having this relationship and that Tyrion wants to take care of Sansa, and she feels like her place is being lost. I hate this. I hate this so much because I understand why they wanted to have Shae and Sansa have a relationship because they weren't giving Sansa any other relationship, so they had to give her something. But then to have that happen, and then on top of it have, you know, the Tyrion and Sansa relationship, where Tyrion is much nicer to Sansa than he was in the books and isn't as lecherous. So they wanted them all to get along, but then having this conflict of, like, turning Shae into the jealous girlfriend who's, like, being not irrational, because I think that her point is that, you know, we're supposed to be together and you don't want to be with me. And Tyrion's point is about, like, it's a shitty situation for both of them, and it's not fair to either one, and neither one's really helping the other in this relationship. But it's just clumsily handled because, like, why did you make us... I mean, I think they want us to be invested in this couple for both sides. To be invested in Shae and Sansa and Shae and Tyrion. But at the same time, in order to get to certain points, you're going to have to turn Shae into someone that she never really was before, and that's going to be obnoxious to watch. And then the other thing is that we see there are two scenes. There's a scene with Jaime and Brienne, where Brienne is telling Jaime that he has to, like, basically, I'm trying to do all the King's Landing scenes. So there's a scene with Jaime and Brienne where Brienne's telling him that, you know, Sansa's here, you gotta take care of her and take her back. But Jaime's like, well, her mother is dead, and she's my sister-in-law now, so what I'm supposed to do? She's probably safe here. And Brienne's like, you're full of shit. This scene was interesting because you have, like, the very idealistic knighthood in Brienne. Because Brienne wants to do the right thing, do the vow thing, no matter what, you gotta do the right thing. And Jaime's like, look, it's much more complicated than that. And I think it's interesting to have how those two ideals are always clashing, but yet that's what draws them to each other in terms of, like, their friendship and their camaraderie, is that they really care for each other, but they believe so many things. And I think Brienne's innocence comes out here, because they haven't really done a good job of showing the sensitive parts of Brienne. They really want her to make her such a badass that they kind of ignore that she's 19 and that she's, you know, not experienced in being a knight and in the complexities of knighthood. So I think that her conversation with Jaime bring out that sensitivity and that ignorance of the world. Go down, we see Sansa praying, then she hears footsteps, and we go through this whole stupid horror scene sequence to see it's just Ser Dontos. Ser Dontos was the man that she saved in season 2 first episode, and decided to push the storyline back 2 seasons because they don't like Sansa, and he gives her a necklace to basically thank her for saving his life and being the one to do that, and to sort of give his life more meaning besides the tragedy. And I think for people who don't know, Ser Dontos, his family is the family that's killed in the reigns of Castamere. So his family legacy is that really shitty, this really amazing song about a really serious situation. So it's a very touching scene to see someone actually be genuinely nice to Sansa, for now anyway. And then that's pretty much it. And then the other scene that I missed that I didn't talk about before is two more King's Landing scenes. There's a scene where Jaime and Cersei again, I don't know what they do with Cersei. Like, sometimes she's just so on point, and Lena Headey gets, and they nail her complexity, they lay her issues, it's just like, bam, it's awesome. Like, everything in the drunk scenes from season 2 Blackwater was perfection. Like, it was just great. But then they give her this scene where she's like really like angry at Jaime, and she's like, you want her? It's just like, well, what do you want? Like, they want to make her so irrational, and the conversation is made up because this didn't happen in the books. And so you just build this tension between the two of them, and Jaime misses her and wants to, like, you know, have sex with her and be with her. I mean, he's on the Kingsguard to stay with her, and she's unhappy because he was never there to help her through what was going on. She thought she was going to die several times. And it shows how Cersei anyway, is dependent on Jaime as sort of being her rock, because he's her twin, and they've always been together. And I think that she relies on his privilege as being a guy and being this great swordsman to kind of be in her corner, and without him she kind of feels lost. But it's also very jarring because you can see all in the last season she's so desperate to find Jaime that when she finally gets him, she's like, what the like, go away. So, you know, it's a mixed bag for me. I know that show Cersei has her own different slant to her, but it also kind of, I know that her relationship with Jaime is a lot of manipulation. It's not true love. You know, they're not like, it's not true love, but there is a passion between them that I think we haven't really gotten to see, and we're not seeing right now, but we'll see what happens later. And then the other King's Landing scene is when we have Olenna and Marjorie talk about, you know, picking out the necklace for the family, and Marjorie making her impression, and Brienne comes in and tells Marjorie that she's gonna avenge Renly, and I'm like, I don't care about Renly, whatever. Alright, and then we go over to Dany dealing with her adolescent dragons going through their teenage squabble. You got Drogon, who's like laying on her lap like a little kitten, and, you know, then you see the other two fighting in the ground. They bring a lamb and they start eating, and then like Jay's like, quiet baby, and he's like, leave me alone, mom, I'm trying to eat lamb. Like, that's not what he said. He was like, but same thing. Lord Friendzone is like, oh, they're dragons, Khaleesi, they can never be tamed. It's like, thank you, Jorah, thank you. She ain't figured that out from the screech to her face. Whatever. I can't wait for them to just whatever with Jorah. Jorah, like, I don't feel bad for Jorah, because it's just like, you know, she don't want you. She didn't want you since she met you. She don't want you now. You just did be her guard, and you did betray her in season 1 anyway, and you had to cover it up. So, you a trifling hoe. Go away, I'm tired of you. And then, new Dario, who's the guy from Nashville, and Grey Worm are having some stupid shitty ass contest to see who can last the longest with their swords. Dany's like, this is stupid, come on, let's go. You're making everybody wait. You can be in the back of the livestock. And apparently Grey Worm has a crush on Missandei, but he don't got no equipment, so he feels a weird about that. And I'm like, you know what, Grey Worm, don't worry, because there are many other ways to please a lady besides that. And then Dario, of course, is trying to flirt with Dany, talking about how you need to know the people and give her this like stupid flowers to be like, this is how you make tea and this is how you poison people. And I was like, okay, thanks, very clever. It's all very over. It's like they have a relationship, and and then when they're on their way to Meereen, they see these crucified children, and Jorah and Sir Barristan are going to take it down, but Dany's like, no, I want to see all of their faces, to kind of remind her about why she's doing this. It's a very noble scene, you know. She got her brown people on lock, so you don't have to worry about them rebelling. It's very... Dany is still in her phase where she's doing the right thing, and we can root for her because we see her righteous fury. And so right now Dany's, you know, she's got her huge army of Unsullied. She good. Then we go to the north, and Jon's actually being interesting. He has his trial. Well, first he started about how his brother was burying him and everything. It makes him sad. Everybody never could hate him because they were like bros. And Sam's like, you know, I would hate you because you're better than everything except reading, but we bros. And he goes to the council meeting, tells them, you know, I didn't kill, shit. What's his name? Half Hand? I didn't kill the dude because I'm a traitor. I did it because he told me to, and he was willing to make the sacrifices for the Night's Watchman. And Thorne is like, you full of shit. I hate you, Jon Snow. I hate you since season 1. And Jon admits that he slept with, you know, he got his ass, that he ate with the wildlings, and he broke his vows, basically. But he did it to maintain this guy so that he could, you know, tell the Night's Watchman about what the wildlings were doing, which is that, like, you know, what the fuck is his name? Shit. That they have basically, like, they've unified all the different groups of wildlings, including the Thenn, who are the creepy cannibals that we saw arrive when Ygritte was making her angry, I'ma kill his ass, you know, arrows. Like, she's basically, like, she's the Alanis Morissette of archery right now, because she is ready to just, like, unleash upon him. It's gonna be glorious. But, Jon's talking about how they've united all the wildlings, and Maester Aemon is like, look, I know liars, I live in King's Landing, he good. And basically, Jon isn't, like, completely off the hook, but he's not gonna be executed right away. And I think it's just interesting, just set up to see, like, how the Night's Watch Council is incompetent, but thankfully for them, my boo, Stannis, is coming up there to bring some order to these people. Praise his light. And then finally, I think, oh wait, no, I forgot one other scene. Jaime and his son talking about how Jaime ain't accomplished anything and he's 40, which is bullshit. He's the youngest Kingsguard there ever was, and he, you know, he's the you know, Oathbreaker, Kingslayer. Like, that should go in the book. Like, Jaime is, the thing about Jaime is that, like, as much as they might make him seem like, oh, he's lazy, he's this, Jaime's accomplished a lot for his, by making him older, that might be kind of undercut, but for the age that he is supposed to be, he's accomplished quite a lot as a member of the Kingsguard. Whether they're changing that from book canon to TV canon is up to them, but from what I know from the books, Jaime has accomplished a lot, and therefore, you know, he is one of the most famous kings, members of the King's Guard. And Joffrey's pretty much just being a shit to him. And I think a lot of people have been saying that he's being shit to Jaime because he kind of knows that Jaime is his father, and that he's taking it out on Jaime because he wants to show that he's better than him, and that, you know, I'm the king, and I'm the king because of my father. I think it's really interesting, the idea of paternity, because even though we know that biologically that Joffrey is not Robert's son, Joffrey is more like Robert and Cersei than he is like Cersei and Jaime. Like, he has Robert's mentality in a lot of ways, and he learned cruelty from both of his parents. And I think that what we're seeing is Jaime realizing how this may be his son, but he isn't doing anything to raise this kid. Like, he didn't help raise Joffrey. He may have wanted to protect Joffrey like another member, but the one who was sent there to really protect him was the Hound. So you're not really influencing this kid's life at all, so he can treat you like shit because he don't care about you. And they've also made Joffrey a lot older to, like, also make him more of the Caligula villain type. So it's just one of those things where, like, I feel like the relationship between Joffrey and his parents is super interesting because it exposes so many faults in the way that they've all contributed to raising this little dick prick. And then the final, I think the scene that everyone really cared about was the Hound and Arya adventure, because it's really funny to see the Hound, you know, this huge brute of a man, having to deal with this little 12-year-old who is just getting on his, well, I keep forgetting that Arya is younger in the books but older in the show, so I kind of like put her to 12, even though they may have made her like 14. But either way, she's a little kid who pushes him around constantly. Like, she just goes up to the barn saying like, "You killed my friend Dany." He's like, "What the fuck is a Lemmy?" It's just like, it was really funny and entertaining, and I think that it also is showing more of Arya's dark side. Because a lot of people are like, yes, Arya, she's a badass. And it's like, yeah, she's a badass, but she's also kind of losing it. I mean, she is a child, and she has killed 3 people now. And she's never really had to deal with that. She's seen her family be slaughtered. I mean, she's actually the one who saw her dad get killed. So did Sansa, but you can say that she probably didn't look, but like Arya saw it. She saw her family, what happened with the Red Wedding. She's been so close to so much death and torture that she has internalized a lot of that, and how she deals with people is through death. And I think that, you know, that's the one god that she worships, is death, and that's what she understands. And I think that as much as we are excited for Arya to be like vengeance and all that kind of stuff, it's also sad because she's a kid and now her life is going to be totally consumed by vengeance and destruction, and it sucks. But this episode of Game of Thrones, I mean, it was okay. It was a premiere, so they had to basically do a lot of like, oh, I'm blah blah blah, house blah blah blah, and we're blah blah blah, and we're here because of blah blah blah. There's a lot of catching up, making sure the audience knows what's going on. So I think that for what that is, it went by pretty well. It went by really quickly. By the time that we got to Arya's part, I looked at the timer on HBO Go. I'm like, oh, we only got like 11 minutes left. But those 11 minutes were like the one part I was like super glued to the screen, just because like everything else was kind of like beat by beat, and I kind of knew where everything was going. But this was kind of more exciting because I haven't read the book in a while, so I don't remember those things, but I remember the dynamics so much between the other characters that it kind of stands out. One thing I would like to just comment on, because with the Martells, I love how the insult that Oberyn gives to the men, that they're like, that they're pink, that they're pale and everything. It's like, the interviews have all basically that the actor has given out, and I know people have linked to them, have been saying about how like, oh, Dorne is non-white and they're, you know, they're people of color, and it's like, yeah, what everyone's been saying got shit on for saying like all this past debate. Like even when the Martell people come in, like the people, not the Martells of the house, but like when the Banner people come in, like Houseman Woody and all kind of things, they're like wearing turbans. I mean, they're so orientalized that it's like, it's incredible to me that we had to have that whole back and forth of like, well, they're like Italian and Mediterranean and what, like the way they're even designed is fucking orientalized. And I don't mean like oriental in the way you said it, but like how the culture of like this exotic other is. That's how they are designed. And the fact that they couldn't even get, I'm not gonna get into it, but I'm just saying, it's funny how now it's showing how this is meant to be a different kind of culture that's attached to Westeros, and how people were so willing for them to be, you know, one thing, but everyone else is saying another thing now. But, you know, what do we know? We're just angry black people and angry brown people who can't enjoy anything about fantasy.